You're managing partner of Synergy Consultants and CPAs. You're co-founder of Investology Inc., managing partner of Miami Vice Capital, and board director at Access Capital. How do you manage all of this?
In today's episode, Deep, an agency owner who's generated hundreds of millions of views for his clients, sits down with Amr Alian, a master of business administration, certified public accountant, and a certified valuation analyst.
What's a common mistake that you've seen even successful people make with their money?
They don't invest it. Peter Lynch once said, more money lost waiting for a crash than money got lost during a crash. You shouldn't wait. You should always make your money work for you. A lot of people will have great income to be rich, but there is a big definition or big differentiation between being rich and being wealthy. And my job to take the rich people to become wealthy.
Amr, why is paying high taxes morally wrong?
You know, the way I look at it is, if you run your own business as 100% owner, the government, basically your partner, with 35 to 45% ownership. So you have a partner. So no one is running his business in this country as real owner of their business. So January to February to March to April, up to way to June, if you live in New York or California, every single penny you earn, is going to go to the federal and the state taxes, right? And what we found out is cutting down taxes is going to be a key aspect to grow your wealth. So no matter how much you're going to earn, if you're not have a proper tax mitigation strategy, you're going to always getting behind in your wealth creation trip.
Yeah, it's like you're playing handicapped pretty much. You know, right out the gate, a percentage of every dollar that you earn is gone. And it's not like you're getting a crazy additional value. It's not like this silent partner in your business is helping your business grow necessarily.
I totally agree. I have some businesses, they end up paying federal tax, state tax, property tax, business license tax. They're getting taxed every single step. They go left or right. Every time they try to grow their business, buy more equipment, more machines, they're going to be ending tax on those equipment and machines, even though those equipment and machines will create jobs, will help more business to grow within the same county or the same state. But guess what? Everybody's getting taxed for trying to grow their business, hiring more people, and that will put burden on how much those businesses can compensate their staff and employees, because at the end of the day, they need to generate an EBITDA. They need to generate a proper income so that will be attractive for them to conduct business.
Makes sense, and it shines through when you're talking about this as well. You know, the whole taxation system, it's set up, you know, we all hear this, well, who's going to build the roads? Who's going to be your police? Who's going to, you know, all things that I think we can all agree on. There needs to be some level of tax. I don't think you're going around telling people there should be zero tax altogether. But for businesses that drive the economy, that actually push things forward, it's very limiting. I find this as well as a business owner. You know, I've been running my company for 5 years, and although I'm not American, so I can't really comment on American tax code systems and stuff, I'm Canadian. You know, I'm still very lucky that I get to come and work here in the U.S. So not complaining here, immigration, you know, we're very happy and blessed to be able to work in the United States. However, one thing that is very interesting that no one taught me, even in business school, is that, well, okay, you have to actually set aside this money for taxes. And at least in Canada, like you were saying, sales taxes, I got to set that aside. I got to charge my client more money. If my, you know, service is $1,000, I actually have to charge $1,130 and remit that back. The client loses, I lose. I have to now pay an accountant, and I have to make sure that that money's set aside, that I don't think that I just made almost $1,200 and go and spend that. The whole system seems like very convoluted and complicated. How do you simplify it for your clients?
Actually, I don't want to get simplified, because if that happened, that means I'm not going to be charging my high fees. So if you're going to go to zero tax level, there's no job for me. My business would be going out of business, and my CPA license would be worthless. So the more the tax get complicated, the more we're going to be creative, the more we're going to find a good strategy to save taxes for our clients. We become more valuable. 99% of accountants and CPAs are very retroactive. They are not proactive. They just wait for people to walk to their door in April and May to file taxes. We are very proactive. We meet with our clients at least 3 to 5 times a year. We need to make sure they are ready for tax planning and tax preparation, how much they should expect. And we try to take every single advantage from every single tax code that will allow them to save taxes. At the end of the day, a penny or tax dollar we save is a penny or tax dollar they can invest. And that's the most important part, is the more taxes we save, the more money will be invested, the more return and wealth they can create over time, because this money will be compounded significantly over time.
That's so interesting, because as a business owner, I'm guilty of not wanting to think about it most of the year. I'm so focused on, well, how can I just make more money? How can I reduce on the expenses that I feel like I have control over?
Just to give you one thing, tax is the most expensive part in our life. You spend 30% to 40% of your income in taxes, right? You don't spend that amount on trips, on cars, on jewelry, on housing, nothing. Even your wife won't cost you 40% a year. So taxes is the most expensive line item in your P&L, and in your income versus your expenses is your taxes. If you can cut down your taxes by 10 to 15 to 20%, that's a significant amount of money will stay in your pocket, and that money will be ready to be deployed back to your business, or back to another business, or back into any other investment that you see fit your risk profile and rest your current portfolio of assets that you have.
Makes sense. I mean, I think it's an afterthought for a lot of people. It's whatever's left over, okay, now let's figure out what we got to do about taxes. You take a more proactive approach. Now, Amr, you've got a very impressive resume. I didn't even know how to introduce you today, to be honest. That's why I just wanted to dive right in. But you're managing partner of Synergy Consultants and CPAs. You're co-founder of Investology, Inc., managing partner of Miami Vice Capital, and board director at Access Capital. How do you manage all of this?
Having the right team with you, understanding, first of all, I was lucky person to be able at the early time of my career to work in different financial disciplines in corporate America or in the private sector. So I had exposure to corporate consulting at one of the top consulting firms in the US, investment banking, head of M&A for Fortune 50 company, financial planning and analyst, and financial director for an $8 billion, running an $8 billion P&L and balance sheet. And then eventually I found out that I can go on my own and co-found those firms that will act as one shop to high net worth individuals who cannot have access to the proper advice. So we came in to plug in our service as a fractional family office, which means that you're going to find a lot of accountants market themselves as a fractional CFO. But CFO is only one function in the family office. So given my investment background and the accounting and financial planning, I was able to bring one of the best partners I have had for over 20 years to set up a lot of these different firms. And I had the best team you could ever dream of. And they helped me to grow our business to have full service financial planning and analysis and wealth management, full service of private equity, access to one of the top deals and flagship funds and opportunities in the US, and full service financial tax consulting and financial consulting for our clients. So basically, I was able to put together all angles of the rectangle together to put a nice operational. And here we are now, 2025. I think people start to realize that traditional investment by itself is not going to be enough. Being retroactive in your taxes is going to put you behind in your financial planning and financial targets. And I think with the AI and the access to a lot of tools online, it started to open the eyes for a lot of people that they need different service. They need something that they haven't known about it. I can see somebody with net worth $10 to $15 million with a take-home $2-3 million a year, putting their investment all in an index or ETF or mutual fund, and going to file their taxes at pay for day taxes or those things. I think that's wrong. I think this type of clientele need to have special service from tax planning, tax consulting, tax mitigation, and then investment planning, financial planning, and then private equity access to the top private equity opportunities. And we follow Harvard Endowment Fund allocation because Harvard has been able to allocate their endowment fund. It's about $60 billion fund. In a way, it will outperform the market and being able to outlive all the financial obligation for the next 100 years, right? So their allocation is very crucial that people will understand where the smart money is going. And we follow the smart money. I'm not going to say I'm the smartest one on the...
You're not reinventing the wheel.
I am not. You would be mistaken if you think I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm the smartest person in anywhere. I am the average guy who knows his limits, who knows his capabilities, and all I have to do, finding out what people need and how can I serve them. So if you are $100, $200 million net worth, you can have access to a lot of opportunities than if you are 15 to 25 to $30 million, right? And my job to serve the 15, 25, 35, $50 million people to make sure that they will go to the next level of $200 million. And at that level, they can stay with me or they can set up their own family office that will serve them only. And I have a lot of them who are able to elevate to that level. I'll be happy for them to help them set up their own family office, hire their own internal people, because there's nothing better than seeing someone who is able to grow with you as you are growing as a firm.
Makes a lot of sense. I think one thing that really stood out about, what you just told me is you started off in the corporate world. You did your time, so to speak, and you learned everything that you needed to know from the inside, working at, I assume, these pretty big firms. How long were you in that world before you went off on your own?
10 years in corporate America, and I owe all my success to all my managers and everybody I worked with. I was lucky, as I mentioned before. I was, like every door I opened, the person behind that door held my hand and showed me things that I didn't know about. And I think I'm lucky. It's just I'm a lucky person. Like a lot of people are stuck to one position, one job, one career. I moved between corporate finance, M&A, corporate consulting, financial planning and analysis, and corporate accounting. And I was able to pretty much get an exposure to many financial disciplines that shaped my vision about how to run the business.
We're recording this podcast right now in Miami, Florida, a very flashy city. You are not that at all, but you are rubbing shoulders with billionaires and the real wealth, not the rent a Lamborghini and post it on Instagram. You keep a pretty low profile from what I've seen and what I've heard about you. What's the secret to getting into these rooms with these different billionaires and earning their trust and not being lumped into that other category?
It's a great question. I think being in Miami, you can see the flashy life and the nightlife everywhere, but Miami have a very good side of it, which is the family life, the business life. The most successful people in the country decided to reside in Miami. And you have to choose which side you want to be in, right? You would like to be in the room at night, drinking and having fun and partying, or in a room with people whom you're going to learn from them. I think, again, we choose about like our future is determined about on our action today, right? And I believe on that. Yeah, I'm not a believer on bragging or putting pictures that will offend people somehow, somewhere. I'm not here to share my success with anyone, to show them I'm very successful. I think success is celebrated inside closed rooms with your family and friends, close friends. I think that I have seen more successful people than me. I have been with more successful people than me. So there's nothing to brag about. I don't think I have achieved anything. I think I'm still starting my every morning, Deepak, I wake up and I tell myself, today is a new day. I don't own anything. I don't have nothing in my bank account. And I have to earn today, as if my first day out of college, the trust of every person around me. Because I'm not entitled for anything. You are not entitled for anything. And if you ever wake up one morning saying, I know this person and I know that person will help me to do this and that person will help you do that, you are mistaken.
That's all ego.
It's all ego and it's all assumptions, because people like to shake hands with people who's going to be mutually benefited each other, people that they can trust, that you're going to be able to deliver, people who has discipline, people that success for them is a winning mentality, not money driven. Because money, if you put money as a target or a mean of how you want to live your life, once you reach to a target level, you're going to quit, right? Because you already achieved what you want. You want to buy the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, you want to fly private, you want to have $100 million in your bank account, you're going to say, I'm done. But on the contrary, when you look at the most successful people, they keep going.
They have an insane drive.
Because it's not the money anymore. It's the success. They are driven by success. They are driven by winning. Look at a great person like Elon Musk. He sold PayPal. He could have went on a boat for the rest of his life, cruising. He decided to bet all his money into new companies, right? And both of them, everybody is just like trying to take a piece out of it because they know they're going to make a lot of money once they invest with him. And you can add a lot of those people. Look at Lionel Messi in Miami, right? Like he has enough money to retire. And I think he can even make more money if he retires. He can be an ambassador, going to work on a TV. But you know what? He want to score more. He want to win more. He want to put more trophies in his wardrobe, right? And this is the most important part, is how many silverware can you get in your life? Because when you end up and you say, I'm done, only silverware will be left behind you, and people will remember you with the silverware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, so much to talk about there. I have gone down the path when I first moved here. You know, I was starting to have some success with my company. I got the Amex now. I grew up immigrant family, Indian background, blue collar. I never had really much money. I didn't know how to spend it. And I was irresponsible. I was doing the partying. I was spending money on stupid things and whatever, because I just thought that it keeps going and going and going. But I had to learn the hard way. That's not how business works. That's not real. The people around you who you think are maybe your friends, not real. They just want you to pick up the tab at the end of the night, that sort of thing. So I've made those mistakes, and I think recently in the last few years, I've really had to kind of mature and realize that, okay, that's all bullshit. What really drives me? What really keeps me going? And I gave up the drinking. You know, it's been almost 4 months now. Haven't had a single sip of alcohol.
Cheers for that.
Cheers to that, yes. And for me, I think the big thing is raising your standards. When I get to meet people like yourself, I'm very inspired by the humility, but also you have achieved an insane amount of success. You won't say it. Don't worry, you don't have to say it. I will say it here on the show. You don't really have to work. You could, in theory, sit on a beach. We are here in Miami. You could be on the yachts. You could be doing whatever. But something still drives you every day to keep going and go back to zero. I love that concept of wipe the slate clean, start at zero. But tell me, what does specifically now drive you to keep going to that next level? Because it's very interesting hearing someone in the financial game who is talking all about, saving people money, making people money, helping their investments grow and whatnot, not put money on a pedestal.
It's a great question. I came to this country with the American dream. And the American dream is to have a job, make good money, have a house, raise a family, send them to college, and then when you retire, you're going to have enough money to go for a vacation once a year. This was my dream until 2008. And I said, that's not enough. I want to be in the rooms of the corporate America, not presenting as an employee, but presenting as a partner, as a strategic partner. I'm going to be the person who's just going to be an employee waiting for his paycheck at the end of the year, hoping he's not going to be laid off at some point during his career. And that was my main goal, is you can do more, right? I came to this country as an immigrant, same as you. I had accent, and I still do have an accent. And I remember I used to walk into rooms where people don't understand me fully, and I have to raise my voice. I have to repeat myself a couple of times. But now I walk to rooms for people that I would probably dreamed of having an interview for a job, and I walk to the same room with them as their peer. And this is something that makes me happy, right? That you can always do it. And I'm not ashamed, like back then when you asked me about why you don't brag and why you don't show your wealth or whatever, you don't need to do that. I used to referee soccer games on the weekends to have supplement income as an employee, as a corporate employee, right? I never said no to go make an extra $400 or $500 a day to spend the whole day refereeing games to make an extra $400 or $500 because I was trying to make an extra money.
Yeah.
Now you can spend it on one night and one dinner and one tap, right? It's different, but no, you have to start somewhere. You gotta grind. You gotta believe in yourself, and it's the U.S. You can do what you can do, and you can see a lot of people here in Miami was able to achieve a lot of things at younger age that makes you feel like, oh, I'm not grinding enough.
You got to go even harder.
Yeah. So sometimes, again, I'm a human, and I would be, trying to take off a little bit and relax a little bit between big deals and big moves that we're able to achieve good success out of it. And then you hit into someone younger than you and you feel like, wow, he just had a nice exit with $400 million, $600 million. And it's not the money here.
No.
It's about the achievement.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the achievement.
Yeah. Because there's always going to be another mountain to climb. There's the people who achieve that success are never satisfied at one particular number, like, okay, I'm done. You found a new mountain.
100%. And, my dad told me a long time ago is it's easier to succeed, hard to maintain your success. You can get to the mountain easy, but to stay on the top of the mountain, this is the hardest part because so many people will try to pull you down.
Why do you think that is?
Because everybody would like to get to the top of the mountain.
They want to take your spot.
It doesn't have to be the spot. Everybody want to achieve and go to the top of the mountain. And the mountain can hold as much as it could hold.
Okay.
Right? So, and if your ego comes in the way and you think you made it, you're going to be easy to slide off the mountain and you lose everything that you had. Right? This is this is something that we have seen great people going down because of silly mistakes or stupid mistakes, whatever you call it, or they think they became untouchable or became arrogant because they made so much success. And it happens even in sports.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at the most successful people in the sports are people with discipline, people who has very low-key life. Right? Look at the Messi, at the Ronaldo, at LeBron James and those people. Those people, like, at the age of 35, 36, they're still grinding.
Yeah.
Right? They still wake up
They don't
early.
They could have retired.
100%.
Yeah.
The first one to get to the practice, they practice the most amount of time. They go for the recovery. We don't see them scandals about them in the media. They're just playing, focusing on the game.
Yeah. I study those guys and the greats and the Tom Bradys and everyone and the Jordans and Kobe's. They're just that obsession, that attention to detail, and they're not telling anyone to do anything that they're not doing themselves. And leading by example, I think is such a big one. And
100%.
I can relate with you on, I grew up, I always had a job. Since I was 10, I hustled. I was delivering papers. I was working minimum wage jobs. I was mowing people's lawns, whatever. I've been working. I love working. It's to me, actually, something my father taught me is that to work is a privilege. It is an honor. You get to work. You don't have to work. And the minute you start complaining about that is when, you have your downfall.
I totally agree with him. There's a lot of people who would love to find a job, a lot of unemployed people trying to get a job. We are blessed to be in the U.S. Look at the rest of the world. A lot of people cannot get employed. And we're talking about high caliber and highly educated people worldwide. They're just looking or waiting for one opportunity to get a decent job.
So you've seen inside hundreds of wealthy people's financial lives. What's one standard that the top 0.1% hold true?
Disciplined.
In what senses? Give me some concrete examples. What discipline in what?
They still wake up 6 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning. They go to the gym. They go to the office every day. You don't see them, their lifestyle change because they start to have money or they can afford to slow down a little bit, right? So they are very disciplined. They are still maintaining the same life. Maybe you're going to have some luxury aspect here, right? So instead of driving to the office in a beat-up car, they're going to be driving in a nicer car. Instead of flying regular, they might fly private. But at the end of the day, they keep working and grinding as if today is a new day and tomorrow is going to be a new tomorrow, and I will have to prove myself that I still exist.
What is a belief that you held early in your career that you now know you were very wrong about?
When you put money as your target.
So it was at one point. You had like a financial goal. You needed to hit this number to be happy.
Yes. I thought people think money will give you happiness and freedom. It is at some point. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But at some point, you're going to need to graduate this thinking and mental level.
Yeah.
That money is your target in life.
Yeah.
Because now I look at money as a number on a screen.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people who are very successful, they're not going to get the chance to spend their money they're going to earn tomorrow. But they're going to still go tomorrow to work. Right? A lot of people around you whom you hear about, they are not going to be able to spend their money that they're going to earn tomorrow. So if the world ends today and no more job and no more work and no more nothing, they're going to be living for the rest of their life very comfortably. But guess what? Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., the clock is going to ring. They're going to jump into the shower, get to the office, start their first meeting at 7:30, because money is not their drive anymore. It's success, it's winning mentality.
That success and that winning mentality for you, though, now, you mentioned that you still keep going despite the money now. But talking to me right now, okay, I'm still at the stage where as much as I try to tell myself I'm not driven by money, I kind of have to be at a certain point. I got to pay my staff. I got to make sure that we're making enough money. Everything in one way or another is driven
This
by
is success. You're trying to pay yourself because you want to be successful.
Exactly. So how do I reframe that into how do I define success
Because
for
you are
myself?
measuring your success now by money. Eventually, success is not going to be measured by money anymore.
And so do you say that I should change that now or later? When do I know when to
Successful
change?
people and people with the mentality of winning, they're going to be automatically having a mind shift. When they reach the money level and you say, you know what? Oh, it wasn't the money that was driving me.
Is another thing. Yeah.
It was success. I don't want to lose. I don't want to disappoint my staff. I don't want to disappoint my dad, my mom, my wife, my husband, my son, my daughter, my everybody around me, right? So that will start to graduate, because how many person you have seen like they won the lottery and they go broke in 5 years, right? Okay, we hear the stories all the day, right? How many times we found out a lot of athletes who makes hundreds of millions of dollars, they lose their wealth within 5 to 10 years after just quit playing, because money was their target, right? And they don't know how to handle the money. By the way, the way I look at money sometimes is a curse.
Wow. Okay.
If you have so much money and you have a lot of money, or you make so much money that you don't understand how to handle it, it's going to be a curse in you and your family. It's like driving high-speed car and you don't know how to drive. You're going to end up, like in a car crash. So I have seen people, money will come as a curse in their life, because I think money, when it comes with a lot of responsibilities with it. Like how are you going to spend the money? How are you going to help people who need help? How are you going to take care of your staff and your employees? How? Money is not just for us to enjoy. There's a reason that you were chosen to have this money. This is the way I look at it is. And you are responsible now to use your money wisely. That's why I go crazy on my clients when I found they are wasting their money left and right, because they think the sky will always rain money on them. Never happens. How many stories that you read about people with so much money and they lost it all? So money is a curse that could break down families, could break down kids, when they get to like grow up in a very wealthy family. They found money is running left and right, no control.
They never had to have that paper route, that job. They never had to work.
That's it. There is no drive for them. So what's the point that I'm creating a second generation who doesn't have the feeling of drive to success and the winning mentality, because I put them into a lifestyle that will spoil them and they think money is available. Why would I worry about it?
How have you seen some of your more wealthy clients be able to distill those lessons to their kids, even though they know the kids will be taken care of? Their grandchildren, great-grandchildren can probably be taken care of. How do your clients who deal with it best actually instill that?
The rule of entitlement. As I mentioned before, nobody's entitled for anything. Kids should not be entitled for anything. You can love
Make your own money type of thing?
You can love your kids as much as you can. But loving is not giving them free money.
They're not a charity case.
They have to earn it. And you have to teach them that they need to earn their money. Right? So, doesn't mean now iPhone 17 is out that all your kids need to get the iPhone 17. Doesn't need that, because it's not the money. But guess what? If your kids need tutoring, you probably end up spending more money on their tutoring than buying an iPhone 17. So buying the iPhone 17 is not the case. You could put your kids in a private school for $100,000 a year, right? So iPhone 17 or buying them 600 shoes or whatever is not how you're going to express your love to them. Expressing love should come in growing them in a society where they become responsible and understanding that money comes with being responsible toward the other people as much as you can enjoy the money that you have. Again, I'm not gonna say like you're gonna deprive your kids of money. No, of course no. I'm an accountant. I'm a financial advisor. I love money. I make money. They call me the money man. So my job is just making money. Yeah. So, but money is not our target in our life.
It's a tool.
It's a tool to enjoy life, solve your problems, and solve others people's problems if you can.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
What are some specific lessons you instill in them that you learn from your clients?
1 second. So sorry.
No, keep going. No problem.
It's because my son actually on a plane by himself. He's 16.
We're keeping this in, by the way. that goes with the question so well.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, so I asked if you have kids and how you instill those lessons that you learn from your clients in them as well.
You just lead by example, right? This is not iPhone 17. It's iPhone 14.
Wow.
Right? I can afford to go with the iPhone 17 tomorrow, but I don't need it, right? Once I need to upgrade, I will upgrade. There's a big difference between want and need.
That's powerful.
Right?
That's really powerful.
So my son came to me the other day and asked for an upgrade. I said, you know what? If you need it, I'll get it for you. But if you don't need it, there's no point to get an upgrade.
So you're empowering them to define what is a want and a need, teaching them the skill of like, hey, do you think that this is a want or this is really a need? Is your phone broken? Is it not functioning?
I live day and night by one thing. We're not entitled for anything. So not everything we want, we should get it, right? If you need it, you will get it. And sometimes people need stuff, they cannot get it, right? So you are privileged to get what you need.
You've said that business is an infinite game. How do you keep the score with yourself in this game?
You know, just I wake up every morning, 5:30, 6:15 to 6:30, I'm at the office. I do my best as much as I can. And if I need to be on the weekends at the office without taking imbalanced life from the family, I will go. But I live like I enjoy this is another thing when I mention I'm lucky. I enjoy what I'm doing. Right?
It doesn't feel like work.
I don't feel like I'm suffering. I'm not feel like oof. I need to go to the office today. Sometimes, believe it or not, while I'm going to sleep, I cannot wait until I wake up next morning to go to the office.
Same here.
Right? You know, that's like sometimes
sleep feels like a nuisance.
Because I'm looking forward for the next day. I'm trying to close a deal. I'm trying to take something. I'm trying to invest in something. It's just like, you know, like it's like a kid who's waiting for something to happen to them to go to Disneyland. Sometimes that's me while I'm closing a deal. Like I'm just the kid waiting for something to get it done with. And you feel like, wow, this is a trophy, or this is something that I just achieved.
So when it comes to all of these different types of businesses that you're involved in, and you're real estate, you're involved in wealth management, you have a bunch of your own investments, how do you manage all of these deal flow and things that are outside of your control, timelines that are outside of your control, you know, clients, wires hitting, all these different crazy variables all the time? How do you manage all of that?
So every morning I get to the office by 6:30, 6:15 to 6:30. I drink my coffee. I go through all emails. And by the time my inbox is cleared, that should be about 7 o'clock, 7:15, I put a priority list for the day, a checklist, what things has to be achieved today. 9 a.m., most of my employees and the staff members will come in, and I start delegate as much as I can to them, and I keep whatever I have to keep myself. I don't leave the office until everything on my checklist has been done, covered, and concluded. And if you have the right and proper team around you and you believe in delegation, you're going to be able to achieve so many things. You know, like I believe if you want to grow, you have to let it go. So people who hold on everything, they want to do it like to control freak people and running a one-man show, they will end up being behind on their tasks and achieving what they have to achieve. So the most important part is delegation and having a list of what things is more priority to you and need to get it done quicker. In the meantime, sometimes people get hold on tasks that's big while you have those small tasks that you can get it out. So at the end of the day, you end up like not achieving 5 of them. But if you would have focus on the tasks that will take 10, 15 minutes of your time to get it out, you'll end up with only one task by end of the day that maybe wasn't achieved. So you have to look at, and this is actually something that I learned from the GMAT when I was studying for the GMAT, is sometimes you have to skip a question that you don't know the answer. You're not going to waste your exam time on one question. You can come back to it later on. Just keep hammering down your checklist left and right to make sure by end of the day, your checklist is clear, or worst case scenario, you only have one pending item that you can take over the next day.
That's very powerful and very actionable, because I do something similar in the morning. I start around 6:30, not as early as you. But I do go through my email and everything, but I do that after I write down my top 3 tasks of the day, and I actually have it printed out on the sheet that I developed. It's like a contract with myself.
Nice.
Every single day I have a contract, and I actually sign it.
Nice.
And it has, some, philosophies, my goals, my vision, that type of stuff. Just takes me 1 minute to read and then sign. And then I write my top 3 tasks. But what I'm finding then, after I do this great, cool exercise and I feel awesome and I'm pumped up and I'm ready to go dominate the day, then I open my email. And then I'm like, oh my God, I have all the tasks that didn't get done from before. I have all these new tasks that need to get slotted. Something I struggle with, if I'm being completely honest, is prioritization. How do you determine, what's urgent, important, what not?
Going back again to the size of the task, who's getting involved on the other side, dollar amount, time needed to be achieved, the consequences of not achieving this, right? Because you have to think about what would be the consequences. Can this be wait for next day? Or waiting means a penalty, or waiting means missing the opportunity, right? And that's the most important part. And being a CPA, dealing with deadlines with the IRS, just like it became a game of like mind game. Like, how can you just put yourself like focusing? You can do it if you know what you are doing, and that's something that, being a CPA, you're going to get well trained about meeting deadlines.
But is this something you're doing all in your head, pen and paper? Do you have a system?
I manifest my day the day before.
Okay. Tell me about that.
So before I go to sleep, I manifest my day. So I know tomorrow I'm going to sign a contract. This is what time. I manifested today. Okay? How I'm going to get here on time, which car I'm going to take, what I'm going to do prior. I want to make sure that I'm not going to book a meeting prior to this podcast that might hold me up, and I cannot say no to the other side of the phone call. I need to go now. So many things I just manifested. So I baked out my day last night before I sleep to make sure when I wake up this morning, the day is already planned and I don't have any sort of hiccup that will happen to ask you, can I come 30 minutes late? Can reschedule this podcast? Yeah. Or I send somebody who's going to say, sorry, I cannot meet you at 11 because 12 is booked somewhere where I'm going to be driving, right? So I like manifesting, manifesting your day and manifesting your success is something that will help you to achieve it, actually.
That's very powerful, actually. I do something similar as well, but I don't do it every day. I think I should start doing it every day. I think I do it when I have a lot of travel and stuff between. And I use my calendar for stuff, but I think it would be a great exercise, even on the weekends, because I work on the weekend as well. Just make it a habit of planning the next day the night before.
100%. You know what? I'm diabetic. I'm type 1. And that's put me in a mindset I need to manifest my second day. For example, if I'm going to be driving, which insulin I'm going to take, if I need to take a backup, what if the backup didn't work out? Should I leave it in the car? But if I'm in Florida, the car is going to be warm. Should I take it in my pocket? So again, I'm manifesting everything and I'm thinking about if I'm going to go on a road trip, I'm going to go a VIP meeting, I'm going to have a dinner tomorrow, I'm going to have lunch that I'm going to be eating more. So I think being diabetic actually helped me with this trick, or maybe this
tactic of planning,
that I manifest my day before, given my health condition. And that helped me to say, if I'm manifesting my food tomorrow and my insulin tomorrow, why don't I manifest my meetings and everything?
For me, my biggest role within my company is this: building relationships. That's why I love this show. I get to meet people, learn from that, compress my window of learning, get inspired, and maybe one or two people might enjoy this as well, but it's completely selfish. So all that to say, I have some questions for me that I'm just very curious about. How do I continue to get in the bigger and bigger rooms? Because that is something that really does excite me. This podcast allows me to network with incredible people, but I always want to be in the mix. I always want to level up my level of relationships, the quality of the people I'm working with, that I'm serving as clients, that anything, just friendships, relationships, everything. How do you, like, practical advice for leveling that up?
Showing up, validation, and keep going. You never stop. People like to see people keep going. Persistence, right? I like people who's going to come knock at my room 10 times. They are not here. They are persisting. They are driven. And validation. You have to validate yourself. And validation will be coming through being with the right people, who's going to put you through the right people, and giving validation for them and say, he's a great guy. He has done 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to give them the chance. And that will happen also when people think that you are sincerely in the game of success, not in the game of hit and run, one deal and go.
You're not just all about cutting taxes. You're also about structuring people's entire financial lives. What's a common mistake that you've seen even successful people make with their money?
They don't invest it. They just keep it in cash.
Park it.
They think the market will crash tomorrow. The market will crash tomorrow. Real estate will crash tomorrow. They put it in money market accounts. I always tell people, Peter Lynch once said, more money lost waiting for a crash than money got lost during a crash. Right? So you shouldn't wait. You should always make your money work for you. Again, a lot of people will have great income to be rich, but there is a big definition or big differentiation between being rich and being wealthy. And my job to take the rich people to become wealthy. And this will be coming with the mentality of discipline in investment. Investment is a road trip. It will take you some time to see the progress out of it. But at the end, if you invest your money wisely, the amount of wealth that you can leave behind will be incredibly more than if you just put it in money market or cash.
Makes sense. If you could give listeners a 1% move, because I was telling you a little bit before we started this podcast, a concept that I'm very obsessed with is this Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, small, continuous improvement over time. We all know we've all wanted to set crazy New Year's resolutions and goals and whatever, and then what happens by February? We set these insane targets, and as much as I believe in dream big, the big action sometimes, like trying to do that too much, and I'm going to wake up at 5, I'm going to go run for a marathon, read 10 books, and, be the best father, husband, everything, all that at once, I think it's too much. But small little changes every day on all of those goals, I believe, compound. And, in the spirit of speaking in the financial world, it really does compound over time. But what are some 1% habits that listeners can take away from your knowledge and experience?
It's not a habit, but one thing that I want to go back that helped me a lot, actually, is finding your strengths. You have to search for the strengths inside you. Each one of us has strengths. If you can leverage the strengths, that will help you succeed in your life. Not your weakness. Because we grew up, our parents saying, oh, you are weak in this, focus on the weakness. You're weak. No, your weakness will never help you to succeed. Even if your weaknesses became an average, you're going to become an average person.
Double down on your strengths.
Double down your strengths. If you're good in sales, stay in sales. Stick in sales.
Yeah.
Right? If you're good in analytics, stay in analytics. And I will tell you a good story, Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players. He won too many trophies, too many, rings as a basketball player. He decided to go back to play baseball for a year or two. Did he succeed? What happened to him after he played a couple of seasons in baseball?
Came back to
basketball. What did he do?
Won
again.
Yeah.
So, because this is his strength.
Yeah.
If he would have spent 10 years playing baseball, he would become the average player or below average.
Yeah.
But his
And
strength...
think of how many stories of that, how many Jordans they could have been that went to the wrong sport that they were average at.
Not even the wrong sport. There's a big difference between your strengths and your passion, or what you're dreaming of when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you can see some great doctors who are great in business, they shouldn't practice medicine. Just go to the business. You are an entrepreneur, right? So search for your strengths. Whatever your strength is, this is where you can double down to succeed in your life. And there is a book called Strengths Finder 2.0. I read this book in 2008. And that's one of the reasons that I think it changed the way I was thinking about my career and my life.
Wow, that's really powerful. Because I feel like I just spent all my 20s trying to figure out what really I think I can be world-class at and what I'm very good at. And I think I'm very good at sales. I'm good at connecting with people. I'm good at moving, shaking hands, people person. But you ask me to build a process and a system, like for my business and stuff, I'm very bad at it. But when you're at an earlier stage in your company and you have to be careful where you deploy your capital and your resources and time, you have to wear a lot of hats. I found that I've had to wear a lot of hats, and there are times where I have to do things that I'm weak at. But now, after many years of doing this, I'm able to put the right people who are A players at that, who are way better than me and way better than I'll ever be. But I want to ask you, for me, I guess it feels weird saying this, it's a very small company, but to be the CEO, the leader of the company, you do have to have a lot of different skills, right? I can't just be a salesman. It would be fun to just sell. I think I'd be very good at it. You have to have many different skills. So how do you know which ones to water more and which ones to completely get off your plate and find someone else?
When you're the CEO and you're good in sales, you can maintain the business development aspect, right? And then you can have a strong CFO, strong operation person, a strong legal person, and they're going to help you to grow the business development. And then you're going to have a protege. At some point, you're going to find a VP of sales, bring them over, train them, get them, right? Because at some point, as I mentioned before, if you want to grow, you have to let it go. So you're going to let those people take the helm out of you, and you're going to only be the vision guy, the big picture guy, the big meetings guy, the big conference guy, the closed conference room meetings that you're going to be inside. Because selling doesn't have to sell a customer.
I have to sell the vision to the team. I have to sell
100%, 100%. Yeah, right. This is the most important part is.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. We are a little bit close to overtime here, and I want to make sure that, I respect your time. But one thing I really, really wanted to discuss with you is, we don't have to get political about it, but with now this election happening in New York, are you about to get a lot more business?
It's funny is people has been asking me about this New York part, right? And I can speak as Miami investor, or I can speak as Miami investor and resident, or I can speak if I am living in New York and resident of New York, right?
Let's do both.
So if I live in Miami, I would like Mamdani to come in the office because that's going to create a lot of business here, which I feel bad for a lot of New Yorkers if they don't like Mamdani, which I really don't like about, politics or anything. And if I live in New York, I would like Mamdani also to be elected, because a lot of New Yorkers will move out, come to Florida, I'll buy the real estate so cheap. And then 4 years later on, when they come back to New York, I will make so much money out of it. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is you can always make money with any political.
It just depends on your perspective.
It's how you're going to be able to leverage your time. I have seen people making money in the bear market and the market when it's crashing, during COVID. You can make money anytime. The question is, how can you understand the concept of making money?
Yeah.
Right? Mamdani come, Mamdani go, Como come, Como go. I can trust and I can promise you, people will be making money either or in different both situations. Right? But I'm not gonna go through the political aspect if he's good or bad, because I'm not a politician and I'm not here to judge any person. I'm talking from a business aspect. I can make money on both sides, right? And that all depends on how people will look at it. At the end of the day, politicians would become here for a shorter period of time.
But what do you have to say then to the common sentiment out there about, well, we just need to tax the rich more? How have you found
it's totally unfair
that has worked?
It's totally unfair. Listen, it's totally unfair. It doesn't make any sense for me that because I work harder, I'm more successful, I will have to pay 10 times taxes than somebody else. But also, it doesn't mean that I make so much money, I'm not going to help people who need help. So it's always moderation, right? So you don't have to be extreme left or extreme right. So I believe people who makes more money and privileged to making more money, they have to pay a little bit of more taxes, 100%. But I shouldn't be supporting people who are not putting time into their working day, or they are not driven, or they are not willing to stay
value,
longer hours. I have some employees, and I have seen during my course of my career, some people just they're willing to give you 20 hours a day and sleep only 4 hours. And then some people are barely giving you 6 hours a day. You are not going to compensate both of them the same. Because if I'm in a socialist system, it's going to be both of them getting the same amount of money. That's unfair, right? I believe in rewarding. I believe in the concept of you need to be rewarded for every effort and every job you are doing extra, right? So I'm not believing that people will be entitled again to get benefits because of being just resident of a state or resident of a city.
Right. Meritocracy overall. Yeah. You're actually rewarding people and having the market reward people for what they put in. Well,
and you know what? I want to give you one important part is I'm an immigrant and you're an immigrant and we are two immigrants in one room. We earned a spot here. We came in. We didn't have any type of any privilege over anybody else. We didn't go to an Ivy League school. We were not born and raised here. We waited in an embassy to take a visa to become over here.
Oh, yeah.
And we made
Even as a Canadian, spend a lot of money, man. It's not easy to come to the U.S.
And we made it. So there is no excuse for anyone born and raised here not to make it and expected that we will give them benefits on a golden plate because we are in a society where it's going to reward anyone, either you work hard or not working hard.
I couldn't think of a better way to end this podcast episode. Amr, this is first of many, I hope. It was an absolute honor and privilege.
Honor and my privilege to be here in your podcast. I have seen a lot of your podcasts before. You have done a great job. You have been, you were able to touch in so many topics before. Even in the interview, you have done really good. You touch on the business concept, like business side, economics, personal side. I don't see one aspect or one side of our life you didn't touch on. That means a lot about you. Means you have been prepared for this. You know what you're doing.
Thank you.
And it is my honor and privilege to be here with you. And I would love to be here with you again.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, you just absolutely made my day.
Thank you.
Even more special. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you want, now is a perfect time to promote anything that you'd like to. If people want to work with you, how they can find you on social media, now's the time.
They can go to my Instagram page, Amr.Alian, or they can go to any of my websites, like any of my businesses.
And we will have them linked as well.
Sure, Investology Inc. or Synergy Consultant and CPAs. Depends on what type of service or help they're looking for. And I would love to have free consultation for them if they come through your podcast.
I really appreciate that.
And we would love to work with everybody to help them to get to the second level with their financial freedom.
I love it. And one thing, absolutely, just to leave this on a incredibly positive note, I think we all raised our standards today. And that's what this show is all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just remember, it's not that deep.